Good morning, MacGyver Sharon here. Today we're going to attempt to change the screen in my camper shell window. Well, the screen's already gone, I got a rip in it, but I fixed the window and now I'm going to attempt to put screen in, and I found this no-see-um screen. No-see-um. No-see-um. You know those little itty-bitty bugs that seem to get in somehow? They're like skeeters. Anyway, check it out. So I'm hoping I have everything I need here. I found this, I don't know what it's called, but that's to line the screen. That's the smallest that my son-in-law could find. I can't get out to the store, I'm in lockdown still. This is the netting. It's called, well, it's called no-see-um. Where does it say that? Superfine nylon. There it is. No-see-um. And it really is super fine. And since the screen is on the inside, well, yeah, inside, it shouldn't be wear and tear unless I'm driving with the windows open. But it's so fine. In fact, I might be able to double it up. See that? Pretty cool. So what I'm gonna have to do is take and loosen all these screws. So if you have a 5-in-1, it fits here, and you can loosen the screws this way. Now I'm not gonna taking them all off, because I'm only putting the screen on this half of the window. This half. But I'm gonna use this. So I have that, and then I'm gonna cut the screen, scissors, and then I'm gonna sort of tape it up with the painter's tape so it doesn't stick to my rat fur here. So what have we got? We've got the no-see-um screen, we've got some scissors, we've got some tape. One thing I am concerned about is once I cut it, will it fray? So I'm going to go borrow a lighter, and if it does start to fray once I cut it, I'll burn the ends. You need a MacGyver Sharon screwdriver with a tip, or a 5-in-1 for the ones that are hard. Now you're going to have to be careful, don't loosen everything too much, you don't want your window to fall out. Alright. Let's get started. So I've taken a lot of the screws out, but I believe I'm going to have to take out most of them, because when you put the screening on, it goes under this rim. It breaks right here, and I already resealed the window, but I think I'm going to have to take off all these screws in order to lift the top part of the frame, because the screen fits under here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some screws out of my screw bucket, and I'm going to take out all the screws, but I'm going to put longer ones in just to prevent my window from falling out. I'm also going to put my mattress down on the ground so that I can have the flexibility of the frame to tuck the screen in there. So, forward march. Okay, so what I have done is I've loosened all the screws, taken out the majority. So we can focus on those. And I have these wood screws that are too long, and I've put those in 3 different places to sort of hold the outside frame to the inside frame, but still being able to move it. I've also put painter's tape on the outside just in case, because you're going to have to press down. What I highly recommend is when you're fixing your window, if you take your window off, do the screen at the same time. So this is what we're doing. I have the screen, I have this called spline. I don't know if it's going to be small enough, but what you do is you put it on the window and you push the spline. After you put the screen on, you push the spline in there with a screwdriver. Oh, we can't focus very well. And then the frame goes back in place. So you see I got it kind of hanging there. So here's my screen, and what I'm going to have to do is cut it to measure above the window, all around the window, probably an inch too long. And after I get the screen up there, I'm going to take this spline, and let me get a close-up of that. I'm going to take this spline, and you see there's a ridge in there. And I don't know if I'm going to have to cut where the holes are to screw the frame back on, but you're going to press the screen in there with this spline all the way around. So let me get that done, and I'll see if I can get a better video of that. So I don't know if you watched any of my other videos, but I really can't cut a straight line. For general purpose, I'm cutting the screen extra long to 19 inches. And it's not going to be straight. So what I'm doing here is I put it on the black side of my Reflectix, and I measured the screen 19 inches, and I'm just going to cut along the edge. And here we go. I'm going to cut it with two hands. 19 inches all the way down. Okay, so I cut the screen, and you see how I have it overlapping. I have it taped up to the window, under the frame, all the way through to here, because I can always take an X-Acto blade and cut that off. Now they make spline rollers, but I don't want to put too much pressure on that without being able to hold the other side. So you see all the excess screen I have all the way to here. Oops. I'm just taping it up here so you can see. So what I'm going to do, since this is the end that loosens easier and splits right where that tape is, I'm going to start putting the spline in. I'm going to start right there, and I'm going to spline it all the way up here and all along the top side of the frame to about right there. And I'm going to get some of these screws back in. And once I get that part done, when it's time to start splining the bottom half, I'll be able to grab the screen and stretch it down tight so it won't be a loose screen. But I have to have one side tight, at least I believe, to pull the bottom side tight. Okay, let's give it a shot. Okay, if you're like me and you have serious lack of coordination issues and the screen keeps flying out, I want it to be tight when I put this spline on, and down here and all the way down here, because I'll be pulling it tight from the bottom corner. And there's wind and there's flies in here because I don't have the screen up. So what I've done is I've cut a few mini pieces of spline and stuck them in various spots here and over here, just to hold the screen in place while I start the permanent spline. Now, like I said, they make spline rollers, but what I'm doing is using my 5-in-1 with a little tip, flat tip, and I'm pressing it in here gently as I go along. I can make it all nice and even at a later point, but right now is to get the screen on there and get it tight so that I can get this frame back on there. Especially on this side. I'm going to be tightening, once I get this side, I'll be tightening up a few of the screws here because I'm just worried about pressing out and my window falling on the ground. All right, so that is what I'm doing. Okay, so what I've noticed about this section, the center section, is the spline doesn't take the corners very well because it's a sharp corner. So what I've done, I've cut in this small section of spline and I've put it right at the corner and continued on where this is the part of the screen that's going to be cut off, but I'm still continuing it on a bit under the frame just to give that added extra support, and I'll probably cut the screen right above that so that all along here it'll have support. Same thing on the top. It's not pressed in all the way, but when I try to take this really sharp corner, it kind of breaks the spline anyway, so you cut a small extra piece and just continue it on. And then the screen I'll probably cut like right here and down and leave that pulling support right there. Alright, we're getting there. It's a long process. Now you don't have to keep your spline all in one piece. You can cut it up in little pieces to make it easier. As you see, I've got a lot of my screws back in here. There's screen right here, the no CM screen. And I'm getting down to the corner. And you see, this is where I'm going to tighten it up by pulling some of the spline out as I put this in, because we don't want this wrinkly stuff. I guess I should mention that I didn't even check the waterproofness of this, what's going to happen. So I guess we'll find out. Like I said, I won't be driving with my windows open. So let's get her done. And there it's on there. Now, everything's tightened back up. I can open the window. So you see I have a lot of excess screen hanging down on the bottom. What I was trying for was a little on the bottom and a little on the top. But hey, it's my first time. I have a whole lot on the end. So I'm not going to trim it all the way because it's no CM, it's nylon screen. Now, I don't know if nylon stretches out, especially in the heat we're having and the humidity. So I'm going to leave that excess there in case I have to loosen it up and stretch the screen out. I'm going to trim off a little bit at the end there, of course. But that's it. Now I have no CM screen. It's a big difference in the holes. So when I do trim it, I'm going to leave this and just trim it here where the door handle is, because this extra here has the spline under the railing as well. So that's it. We have a no CM screen. And best of all, we have a screen. Alright. That's the first timers MacGyver sharing way. So just want to say, peace, love, and understanding, everybody. Y'all take care of yourself out there.